get to our seats. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the Kino Corner. We talk about the very best from movies, news, and trailers from a certain point of view. I am joined here today by the sentient thundercloud himself, Thunderheart.
Welcome, welcome. And yes, these will be from a certain point of view. Probably the wrong one, but it's fine.
Yes, but it's okay. And remember, all opinions expressed in the Kino Corner are correct, except the ones that are wrong.
Correct.
Yes. But uh, we have a bit of things to go through today before we talk about our main topic there, which is, of course, guilty pleasures, where Thunderheart and I are going to go through some of our guilty pleasure movies, see why we love them, and just kind of shoot shit about that for a while, and we'll talk a little bit about what makes a guilty pleasure. That's where we're gonna start that off. But as usual, before we get into that, I think it's just time to go through some movie news. A bunch of things happen, but it's mostly movie announcements, so I'm going to lightning through a few things. I don't recall exactly which order I put this in. It was not the order of the
Well,
sticky note, I'll tell you that.
go ahead and fire through them, and if I have anything to add to them, I will, and we'll go from there.
Well,
Because
okay.
there's a few of these you had some opinions on.
Yeah. Okay. So the first one, Beetlejuice 3 is confirmed in the works, and okay. like uh, let's be honest, the Beetlejuice 2 I've heard was pretty okay. It made its money. Who is surprised by this? Who is surprised in any capacity by Beetlejuice 3 happening?
I mean, it's the same thing that we've talked about both here on the podcast in previous episode and in real life of if it makes money, they'll keep doing it. As long as they can print money, they'll keep doing it. It doesn't matter if that horse is dead and it's drowned in that pond that they've been trying to make it drink out of. They're going to keep doing it.
I mean, yeah, just look at the picture I used for Beetlejuice. Like Michael Keaton is literally like dead and buried in the role. He's just like
He's method acting.
he doesn't have to try very hard to be done with this shit. uh, but no, it's like I didn't see Beetlejuice 2, but I am fully aware of the very positive reception it got. I'm open to watching it. I just haven't had the means, I suppose. I've only just recently found out, despite me having this fucking internet service for 2 years. They're all like, "Oh yeah, no, it comes with a free version of Paramount Plus with ads." Like, you fucking
Right.
what? It's like, so I might be able to start watching that stuff soon because I don't mind ads on movies. I've talked about it before, but I love Tubi because
Mhm.
they it's free and but there's ads. They place their ads very smartly, so it really just feels like just one or two commercial ad breaks throughout a movie, which I'm fine with. That's kind of how I grew up watching movies in the 90s and early 2000s, so it's whatever.
Right. It feels like home.
It feels like home. So if Paramount is basically the same way, where I'm watching Beetlejuice and it cuts like halfway for a single 2 3 minute ad break and then cuts back to the movie, fine. That just doesn't bother me at all. But
Bathroom break.
yeah, exactly, bathroom break. But we'll see. I'll see if I can watch Beetlejuice 2 at some point. I'm personally not surprised in the least that Beetlejuice 3 is happening. Are you?
I mean, it's kind of what I said before. Like if they release something and it makes money, it has interest, their control groups, test groups, whatever, make it look like it's projected to do well, they're going to do it. I mean, it may fall flat and be terrible and end whatever they're trying to do with it, but at the same time, it's not going to stop them.
Right. Yeah. The only way to stop studios from making the movies that are objectively dumb is to not buy tickets to them. Like
Correct.
that's why the Snow White getting such a poor reception is such a big deal, because that's the they halted production of their live action Tangled movie because the live action Disney movies are no longer making money. And
Because they weren't good, and by not making them, when they stopped making money, they realized it was a waste of time.
yeah, like the the that live action series is now dependent on the upcoming Lilo and Stitch, whether or not it's good. Which, on one hand, it's probably going to do fine and reignite the live action remake thing. But I hope they don't misread the room. But that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, I
Yeah.
guess. But well, Beetlejuice 3 is happening. Great. Next piece of news. Oh, here we go. The new Matrix movie by Mr. Drew Goddard, or whatever.
Goddard, I believe.
Goddard.
Goddard.
Goddard. I
Um,
barely know her.
I, I, I mean, I'm a child of the '90s. I grew up watching The Matrix. I didn't watch the fourth one, Resurrections. On one hand, like the nostalgia part of me was like, oh, pretty shiny new Matrix movie, and then like I kind of started looking at more stuff, and I was like, oh no, it's bad, and and just kind of went from there.
I've only seen the first one, but it's been so long I think I forgot chunks. I remember the basic story, but that's about it. I have not seen the second one, and everyone like swears by it. Like, it's okay. But I think you mentioned before this that this is gonna live or die. But like, what is this gonna follow the story of Neo or something else? I think I agree with that. I think I I do kind of not the more I think about this after you mentioned it before we started, but
It shaped so much stuff. The second one,
yeah,
well, okay, I have differing opinions from most people. I liked the second one and I liked the third one. I know a lot of people kind of their interest faded as the series went on, but I liked all three of them. But again, it kind of goes to kind of what Disney's doing with some of these live action remakes is they're trying to go back and capture the nostalgia factor. And in some things it works and in other things it doesn't. And as I've mentioned, the Matrix franchise and its lore is so big. There's so much stuff they could do that doesn't revolve around Neo and the main cast that they could build on. But it's risky because it doesn't have all of the established characters and they run the risk of it failing because no one knows who these other people are, and that little bit of nostalgia that may have tried to limp the last movie into relevancy fades entirely.
yeah, yeah. I think they've burned through all of the nostalgic goodwill in that last Matrix movie. Plus, I imagine Keanu Reeves. He's like Keanu Reeves. Let's be real, is in a victory lap in his acting career at this point. He's just kind of doing shit for a paycheck and making money because everyone knows he's gonna fucking kill it. So, and he's just getting all the roles he wants now. Like we know that a Constantine film is in the works with him. So if he's doing that, it's also very possible he's not going to be in part of this, which lends credence to this not being about Neo. Nice
Which I
idea.
mean, here's hope.
Dr. Jones says there were nice ideas in the fourth one, but just terribly executed. I believe you. that's a that's a movie I haven't seen, so I defer to the judgment of those around me. Yeah, if you're talking, Mr. Thunderheart, I know your mic it cuts in and out, but yeah, yeah. No, I've seen the first one. I haven't seen any past that, but I know Drew Goddard as a direct. Well, I didn't know him by name. It wasn't until I looked up his movies. I saw like, oh, he did Cloverfield. Oh, he did Cabin in the Woods. And as soon as I saw like those, I was like, oh, you know what? No, he got it. He knows how to make these kind of sci-fi horror movies fun. So I trust him from an outsider. That's kind of my perspective on this. But since I'm not exactly a Matrix super fan, I'm curious what people who love the Matrix movies thinks about this.
Well, like I said, I love the trilogy. Um, had never saw the fourth one because the hype for it for me kind of died down when I realized the only reason I was really interested in was nostalgia. Um, but I mean, it's a different. I mean, Drew Goddard's going to be different from the Wachowskis. He's going to be able to take things, hopefully, maybe, in a different direction, add a fresh take on things. And given the work that he's done, um, I'll give it a chance. I mean, I'm not going to immediately poo-poo, what
Yeah,
he's going to do before he really takes it on, because he's had a lot of success. So I'm not going to sit back and be like, "Boo this man!"
yeah.
But I'll give it a shot.
It's very much in the sense of this could work, but like a lot of the news we get about these movies, it really does like we need to see a trailer. We need to see like more information come out and just seeing like it's rare when like just seeing somebody's name tied to a project is enough to go, I'm sold. It's rare that
No
that
game, no
actually,
hype.
yeah, no game, no hype. So again, like, but conversely, there are times where you just see a name attached to a project and they're just like, no, this can't work. Like, I don't think we have anything like that this time, but or in this episode,
Well.
I I sense
Well.
we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens here, and of course, whenever we do get a trailer, more news, we'll talk about it. I guess next piece of news on the docket. Oh, speaking of the devil, Jake Gyllenhaal set to produce a
Oh,
new
look, there it is.
a new Killer Clowns from Outer Space movie. Oh. This is entirely
The
because
previous comment of you see a name on something and you immediately go, "Yeah, this isn't going to work."
listen, I am going to be hyper fucking skeptical of this because I know there's only two reasons that this statement has appeared in the fucking news feeds and is happening. One is people are just nostalgia baiting just all these old franchises for any sort of relevance. I mean, so many things are getting remade. But why this one specifically is because of the damn video game. Listen, I'm calling it now. Like the old I don't see Killer Clowns from Outer Space super fan in Jake Gyllenhaal. Like
I mean, I see it
I
somewhere,
somewhere deep inside see,
somewhere deep inside. As a young lad, he was traumatized, and then
uh
internalized that into a fandom
I'm looking at
of the IP.
yeah, I'm looking at other things he produced. Let me see here. I want to get a feel for what this guy if he's a producer. Here we go. Presumed innocent, breaking. I haven't heard of any of these. What the fuck? Why are we trusting him with this? And none of these movies appear.
because because his name is Jake Gyllenhaal, and that still matters in some Hollywood circle.
Yeah, good Griffin. So maybe it's just one of his guilty pleasures. Look, that's very possible. Like, I don't know the guy. If this really comes out and this is like a passion project for him, that's probably the best thing we could hope for. But
That's not a terrible take, actually.
yeah, like for this movie in particular, I when you watch this movie, this was lightning in a bottle because you realize very quickly with how fucked up Killer Clowns from Outer Space is and how gross and kind of messed up and everything is. This is a movie that should not have gotten past censors. This is a movie that should not work. It is campy. It
There's
is
no lie. There's no
it
lie.
but
It knows what it's about, though, and embraces it. And I think
yes.
that's what carries it.
Yes. So he's gonna have to. But the other side of it, and this is my personal like love of like certain things in movies kind of coming to light here. He's gonna have to use practical effects. Like to me, like that's like the hard line. If he makes this and there's CGI clowns, I'm out.
I hadn't thought about it before, but now that you've said that, I'm on your side.
And most of the time I don't care, but this one, it's the Chiodo brothers basically stretch the limits and use like so so many different types of effects in this movie. Like I almost included this movie as a guilty pleasure, if I'm being honest, but I thought I was like, no, no, no. This movie has achieved cult, like a little spoiler for him, but this movie achieved cult status. Everyone kind of acknowledges that there is a lot of impressive stuff in this movie, and collectively, people have this big collective respect to it. There is no guilt in enjoying Killer Clowns from Outer Space. But
That's true, and it kind of goes back to the other sort of qualifier we put on you put on this for what qualifies as a guilty movie is one that it's one that embraces the negative qualities rather than sort of what defines the guilty pleasure movie is it pretends to be something it's not.
yeah,
You can't watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space and get the opinion that it's trying to do anything or be anything other than exactly what it is.
right. And once that was clear, like I encourage everyone. I know certain people I know will not watch this movie because of their fear of clowns. I get it, but if you watch this movie again,
Reinforce it. Watch it anyway.
yeah, but no, like watch some of the effects they do in this movie. Like they use matte paintings inside the ship. They use green screen. They use CG effects on some of the weaponry. Like the puppet scene and just all the framing and key work on that was amazing. The makeup on the clowns. Oh my gosh. See that's why it's like there has to be some level of practical effects. There has to be some level of ingenuity in the effects for this to work. And like
And
my hope is that Jake Gyllenhaal is like, I hope you are a fan of this. I hope that this is just like I want the money to just recreate this, or but but that
and that's
also
kind of the point I was about to make was just like if at that point you almost hope as you mentioned earlier is that it is a passion project for him because if it is then you'd at least be more inclined to believe that he would include elements and aspects of what made the original good because he would want to stick true to that material. And I think the movie can be successful as long as he does that. But again, who knows?
yeah. Now there is a few other little details. Pull them up my little source here. And Hall, get a clowns. Because I don't believe it was confirmed it was a remake. So, so yeah, this is
Are we
still
going sequel or are we going
that's the thing.
prequel?
That okay, I don't think it should be a prequel, but that's the
they'll
thing.
they'll try.
I don't think they should straight up remake this. I think they should do a sequel that's either completely separate, but the only thing is the clowns is the same, just in a different city,
Mm,
and just call it
right.
Return of the Killer Clowns from Outer Space, or just
Perfect. Nailed it.
yeah,
Ship it.
or just make it a direct sequel in the same city, but these people are more prepared, and it make it just like a hell, make it a parody on modern horror, where now the monsters are dealing with people who know what the fuck they're doing.
You know, I actually kind of like how that would play out because you could make that work because they're coming back to this town. There's going to be legends, rumors, and like the town's gonna know that this happened.
Oh
They're
yeah,
gonna be aware of it. You know, you have this time skip. You go a little meta with it. And you have a big time skip. All of these other horror movies have come out in the mean. Make the movie, make the events of the first movie a canon movie in the follow up,
yeah.
and just have a whole town full of people just waiting for these guys to come back.
Yeah, and here's the thing: it wouldn't just be the town. And like this is probably me looking too deeply into like the lore, but like at the end of the movie, like there's like a wave of police officers from the neighboring city. There's a lot of people from not just their town that now have documented evidence that a bunch of fucking clowns came down from outer space and killed a bunch of people. That's just a fact in that world now.
Yeah, I mean, you have just the you have an entire branch of the U.S. government dedicated to dealing with
I just
a race of extraterrestrial killer clowns.
Dude, I would love to be the guy who's just like this. Like, there's like three people because they don't get a lot of budget because they never come back, and he's just like one guy taking it super seriously and one guy holding up just like and I was like, we're paid to fight clowns that don't exist. What the fuck am I doing? I don't know. Like there's potential, but like I am going to be super skeptical until like I hear more about this. I want to know that this guy is this though he's putting his money in the right place and he's giving it with the right people. Because remember, he's the producer. He's not directing it, at least not from where as far as we know. He's producing it. He's putting his money into this project, which does lend credence to the fact that this really could be a passion project for him.
Right. And I think it also adds another layer to his efforts to make sure it's quote unquote good, because no one wants to lose money.
Right.
Well, no one wants to lose a lot of money making something. If it's something he's passionate about and it doesn't make a whole bunch of money, it doesn't make a return on it, he may be fine with that because it's, again, a passion project. He doesn't care. But putting his own money on the line, I feel like, should be a good enough motivation to make sure that it's not just absolute dog water.
I think there's like a bunch of movies coming out or have come out that might be like a litmus test to see what direction he takes this. The first one that comes to mind is Toxic Avenger, like that remake. Which
Mm.
oh, have you seen the trailer for that? Like I've already talked about it in a previous episode, so I'm not gonna go into detail about it this time. But it matches the tone, and so many people are like surprised. Like, is this what the '70s movies was like? All these blatant things talking about like cock and murder. Like, yes, yes, it was.
Yeah, yes, it
It,
was.
this is Troma. This was a schlock film company in the '70s, and you're surprised they brought up the word penis. What is going on?
Times were different.
Yeah. Well,
Like you said, some of these movies and wouldn't get past the censors now.
no, they absolutely wouldn't. That's kind of why I'm wary about this. But like, I'm gonna be watching this story very closely. If I want to be able to like see a teaser for this and get some more information about this. And once we have a teaser, I want to be able to just breathe a little bit and say, okay, I think they know what they're doing. I want to
Yeah,
be able to say that.
I will put an addendum, append the statement that you just made about wanting a trailer, a teaser. Give us a teaser that shows the clowns.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a long shot. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular, but it needs to have enough substance to it to. If you're gonna make the clowns the focus of the movie, which they should be, the trailer, the teaser, the trailer, whatever you want to call it, needs to have enough substance of them in it so that it can showcase the villain, because the movie is about the villains, and if you're
Yeah.
not showcasing them, it's not going to work.
Oh, for sure. Like the movie's called Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and we know that the killer clowns are going to come down. They're going to kill a bunch of people. They're going to do things that are like questionably horrifying and just kind of fucked up. Like,
It's not questionable.
and then the heroes are going to win in ways we can only surmise as somehow.
Pretty accurate, yeah.
And that's it. That's all you gotta do. Like all you have to do for a teaser, and then if the teaser is like this, I'm taking full fucking credit. But all you have to do is just show something we register as modern, and then show the actual clown suits you're going to use in the movie. Just show them using one of their weapons to kill whoever's using their whatever modern tech they're using, and then just have the clown laugh in the fucked up way from the movie. Cut to the title with just that kick ass theme song. Like that's it. That's all you gotta do for a
Yeah,
teaser.
you're done. You're done. Like 30 seconds, pack it, ship it, send it.
Uh, I I'm hoping this is good, but God, ah, my love for the movie is just I'm skeptical, but
Correct. That's. I mean, that's going to happen with any movie that, or any franchise that anyone's passionate about at all, is when, especially if there's a relative. Just again, movies from the '70s. It was a really, really, really long time ago.
mhm. And
So,
if Lex is watching, I know that her favorite movie in the world is Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
absolutely, as it should be. Um. So you get this. You kind of sit on that fence of, oh my gosh, something that I revere and I enjoy and I love, and here it is. It's getting I don't know, a remake, a sequel, whatever you want to call it. It's becoming relevant. But then again, you're on the other hand of, yeah, but don't ruin it.
Right. Yes, just don't ruin it, please. Well, uh,
My
uh,
nostalgia can only handle so much.
uh, I guess before I stay on that little soapbox for too long, let's move on to the next little piece of news. Ah, here we go. The other adaptation coming out. Michael Soronsky set to direct a live action Death Stranding for A24 and Hideo Kojima.
Yeah, so on this one, don't have a lot of opinion on. I missed the Death Stranding hype, missed it completely. It didn't catch me, so I have little to nothing to offer on this other than, hey, Hideo Kojima, I know that name.
Yeah, the only opinion I could say about this, 'cause again, I haven't played Death Stranding either, but I've seen clips of it. My general thought on these is if you have a game that's already like so cinematic to the point where it's kind of like a movie anyway, and I'm talking about games like not just Death Stranding, but like Last of Us. I feel
Mm,
like, or like Uncharted. I feel like
right.
making a movie about that is kind of cheating, but also detrimental to the movie itself. Because then the expectation isn't for it to be a good adaptation. The expectation is for it to be as good as the game.
It's the cinematics from the game just put together.
Right. So it kind of like you're going in with this weird handicap that like it's almost impossible to meet. So I hope it's good. Obviously, I mean, I hope every movie that we learn about is good. I want people to put all like actual effort into this. But I don't know. My personal stance on these types of movies is even if they're good to me, I just don't see as much of a point per se. Like Last of Us apparently added some new scenes that weren't in the games. Like okay, that's something. Like you delved into more detail that players wanted. That like if there's more stuff like that in this movie, great. Like, but
Build upon it. Don't just rip it.
yeah. So, but until they do that something different, there's a lot of.
A
But
lot of question marks of just, huh?
there's a lot of question marks. But just like with the, I guess with the Matrix remake, I didn't play this game. I could spout my opinions about why this may or may not work all day, but I am not a. I have a very limited knowledge of the game and very limited knowledge on the director. All I could really say, if I'm going to be as objective as possible, is like, I hope it works.
Right.
But yeah, yeah, I'm curious what y'all think about it though, and it's like if y'all played Death Stranding, y'all are excited about it, or y'all think this is an absolute travesty. I don't know. Like it is. It was an interesting story just because I always think about. It made me think about like my stance on movie stuff like this and Last of Us. It was an interesting thought. Well, to quickly move on to the next piece of news. Ah, here we go. Pacific Rim, produced by Jake Gyllenhaal. No,
No, please, no.
now we have a new prequel series to Pacific Rim coming to Prime Video. I mean,
And I liked the first one. The first movie was fantastic. The second one happened,
this,
and
yeah,
I'd be okay with them going in and doing a prequel because there is, like, you get a summary of the lore and the leading up events in the first movie, enough to build the world, but there's enough gaps in there. It's a generalization of what you get. So being able to have something that goes in, and I think it works best as a prequel series because it gives them a lot of different avenues to go down. It gives them a larger period of time to cover, more detail to go into. I think this works in the format that it's in, and there is enough there for them to expand on. So it's not just a retelling of what you get told happens in the first movie. But it goes back to the, okay, well, like the last time, see, I want it to be good because I like Pacific Rim, and it just kind of goes back to like the kind of theme that we've been hitting this whole time of, I like this thing. Please don't ruin it.
yeah. Well, I told you before this. Like, I'm noticing with Pacific Rim, it's like everything that's not the sequel seems to be like amazing. Like I've read the graphic novels; they're really good. I've only seen one episode of Pacific Rim: The Black, and it seems great. But I need to sit down and watch it for sure to make sure. But like this one has potential, if it's a prequel, specifically because we know from the first movie that humanity had to like adapt, evolve, and like figure out the Jaeger program in order to combat the kaiju.
Right.
And a lot of lives were lost. A lot of mechs didn't survive. So they
A lot
ended,
of people suffer, like, well, I say lifelong injuries and lifelong debilitations, but some of those debilitations made them not have to suffer that long for the rest of their lives.
yeah. But just like leaving it as the vague, like a lot of people died, some cities were lost, but we still got some victories. Leaving it that vague still keeps the tension intact for stuff that could happen in the prequel. So we could maybe follow like a plucky underdog trying a new prototype Jaeger, and who maybe just gets a few victories but ends up dying in the end and
Right,
sacrifice.
and like,
Yeah,
and kind of like you said, like they say, like a bunch of cities are lost and a bunch of people die. They don't really say too many cities, so you could be what they could have it set somewhere that just in the end gets absolutely devastated and wiped out, but you have no idea because you don't know if it's one of the cities that survived or not.
like I think the only city that's really off the table is Hong Kong, but that's just because it was a major set piece in the first movie.
Right. I
But
mean, but like you could go, but I mean, that's the thing is like there's a whole world to play with, and again, enough gaps in the specificity of the details that from the first movie and the subsequent material of just being able to like, okay, throw a dart, we'll at a dartboard, we'll hit something, and then we'll decide if that city survives or not,
hell, I want
if the characters
to.
survive or not. You know,
We know that like actually well, we know that like they've been attacking Australia. I mean that's why they one of the big things they had to build a wall around Sydney before they broke through. Set it in fucking New Zealand. Fuck it, dude. Fuck it, bro. Full on send it. Just have a Monster Island style fight between robots and.
Madagascar, get revenge for all those outbreak and the stupid Madagascar shut down their airports.
Dude, if there's a scene,
Plague Inc.
if there's a scene like in like Hokkaido or some shit, and just there's a little kid holding a Godzilla toy going, get him, I'm gonna lose my shit. Because you know a kid
Meta
would.
kaiju references. Oh
Hell
yes,
yeah.
no, absolutely.
Like if you were a kid, you saw a giant you saw like a giant robot, like you'd pull up like your Power Rangers Megazord, like yeah, I'm gonna get it, yeah. Just you're a
I mean,
kid.
it'd be like that scene from was it the third uh Jurassic Park movie where the kids like having the dinosaurs eat each other? It's just that, but he's playing with just a mech and a kaiju.
Yes, 100%. Uh, like I don't know, I think this one amongst everything we've talked about so far has the best potential to be good, but that's just because of the series it's attached to, and it has a like shy of one movie, which even then I know some people like. It's a guilty pleasure for some. It has a generally positive track record.
That's true. It does. Which is again kind of the big reason I'm willing to extend the benefit of the doubt of okay, I will give this a shot. I have hopes. Don't hurt me again.
Don't fuck this up. Don't fuck this up. It's on Amazon, so that don't tell that let that tell you whatever. Well, it was a kid playing with the kaiju and a robot toy that inspired the Jaeger program. Read the comics. All right, you
See, there you go.
freaking.
They could have it right there in the movie. You have it or the miniseries.
Don't you actually me, you freaking nerd. This is my podcast. I will
Yes,
not be abstained.
and all right. Let's see. Where's the ban button? Let's see.
Nah, I'm kidding, Griffin. You know we love you.
But yeah, that's all I got on this one. If you want to
Oh yeah. Uh, let's
head
see.
on over, because I think
Oh, here we
yeah, I don't have
go.
anything else to hit on this. Oh yes.
Okay, so full
Uh,
disclosure. Full disclosure. I talked about this briefly on a previous podcast because a few months ago, the only news we heard about this was basically like someone thought it was like, hey, maybe we could do this. But now the news is it's confirmed, it's happening, it's in the development stage, as in they're getting writers and actors. We're almost to the no turning back phase. There's going to be another Gremlins movie and another Goonies movie. I'm actually like the unofficial fact checker of your streams and the major kaiju groupie that I am. All right, keep going, man. But yeah, I, I guess the best thing to do is tackle these one at a time. And I know you have a lot of thoughts on Goonies.
Let's start with Gremlins.
Start with the Gremlins. Okay,
Yeah, start with Gremlins.
okay. So here's the thing. I understand more about the Gremlins getting a new movie than I do Goonies. However, I do not trust Warner Brothers in any capacity with the last fucking thing they did with Gremlins. Like they did a show called Secrets of the Mogwai that just it it just I refuse to acknowledge that as canon. It
Wow,
just
that bad, huh?
it is. Hey, want to know where the Mogwai came from? You see, Mogwai are from this magical alternate China where like demons and stuff exist, and they made it to our realm because magic.
So you had something cool there at the beginning, and then you ruined it.
And just the entire like it just uh, it basically establishes gremlins as just this constant force in the demon world that apparently we should have known about for centuries and centuries and centuries. And then the Mogwai are like the actual race, but they were like cursed or something to become gremlins, and it just forces magic into the equation in such a like a like despite what they are, and it was always like implied. Magic was never like hard coded into what they were
Right.
until the animated series. And even then, they by just putting on the blanket, their magic, it just kind of takes away everything. But the other big thing that I just don't understand, it was a series for little kids.
Well, yeah, kids have to know how to handle their Mogwais.
I'm sorry,
It's a PSA.
listen to little shit. I want you to watch the first
Did you
Gremlins
not
movie.
watch the first movie?
I did watch the first movie. And I watched the first movie when they strung up a dog with Christmas lights and launched an old lady out of a fucking window. There's nothing kid friendly about this. It's a PG
which is
13 movie
why
to its core.
which is why you have to do it early. You have to start them young. They have to be aware of the danger before it's too late.
Listen, I fully I agree with like we need to start kids early and show them PG like all these PG and PG-13 movies younger, just so they can like tough it out a little better. I agree with that, but like I'm just saying, maybe don't give Gremlins the same tone and comedy as the fucking Minions.
Well,
Don't you
hold
don't.
on. I
If
mean,
Stripe encountered a minion going banana, Stripe would just go at it with a chainsaw.
correct. But the parallels are not that different.
They're
I
not.
mean, the chaos is still the chaos factor is still there regardless.
Like it is, and like I also don't want it to like sit here and deny there is like an inherent just comedy and satire to the Gremlins movies. It's just
Yeah,
I
talking about how growing up is terrible.
yeah, I just believe with the animated show, and part of it, what I'm saying here is a bit of an exaggeration. I'll readily admit that. It's just I personally believe they went way too far in the comedy and just kid friendly direction with the show that it just kind of betray and couple that with just forcing so much lore specifically about magic and where they came from. It just kind of I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it actually connects to anything. Like,
Yeah, I get that, but it's okay. They were laying the groundwork because this next movie is going to be rated.
yeah.
It's going to be adventure of
Eh.
a kid, his little Mogwai buddy, and it's
See,
going to be wholesome and great.
here's the thing. Like, you could do a Gremlins 3 and it could work. To me, there is already like a spiritual Gremlins 3 that exists out in the world. there is a short. Is a fan film, fantastic fan film. If I can find it, I'm going to put it in the playlist for this episode of the podcast. I believe it's called Gremlins: The Recall. Basically, it's in a world like just after the events of Gremlins, actually a few years after the events of Gremlins 2, where since the research of that one company became public, people started learning about Mogwais and Gremlins, and and instead the research like weaponize them or anything because they saw firsthand how much shit that could do. They decided, what if we do research to make it so Mogwais can't turn into gremlins? So that's what the thing is. Like there is Mogwais are now pets. You can keep a Mogwai. They're little rambunctious little turds, but they'll never turn into gremlins. They're your best friend. And of course, there's a batch that didn't quite go through. There's a recall, and the entire thing takes place in a diner where like the truck that was like carrying the recall back kind of tipped over, so it was like a dozen gremlins in this diner just causing havoc, and the heroes have to deal with that shit. That feels more tonally
That
appropriate.
that yeah, no, absolutely. Like I honestly, why don't they just pick that up and be like, hey, we're just gonna adapt that to a full length film?
Oh yeah, the other side of it is of course effects. I said this it with with Killer Clowns. I think it's kind of important for Gremlins, but I'd be more open to seeing a bunch of CG Gremlins than I would seeing a CG Killer Clown. However, I do think they should have a few shots where with Gremlins where they just have a few models and a few little puppets just kind of like lingering from like a chandelier or something, because that's kind of the charm of the Gremlins. Is they're equally goofy and scary, and that's like they're two sides of that coin.
Right.
Like you gotta like
And
understand both. You can't make them too scary because then it just kind of it feels a bit fucked up. You can't make them too silly because then you get the show. It's just like you gotta strike that balance. I think
right. Because like you said, if they go too far one way or the other, they'll end up either not connecting or completely separating from what their last addition to the IP was, which who knows, maybe they could do on purpose to be like, okay, we kind of botched that. Let's kind of roll this back in the other direction here. But at that point, you run the risk of overcompensating and going too far back the other way.
right. And at the end of the day, like of course, deep down, like I know I'm very lenient when it comes to certain movies. That's why like getting the movies to think about for this was hard, but we'll get there. I I I can't help but just after Secrets of the Mogwai and just like, being quiet for so long, just telling me that they're gonna make a new Gremlins movie, I'm gonna be stone faced about this until it like even when they show me a trailer, even if it looks good, it's like this might be something where you got to show me the movie. I want to see other horror and fans, other creature fans look at this, give it a shot, and go, yeah, okay, before I say anything, because they could fuck this up easily, and they have fucked this up. But no, it's but that being said, I'm more open to seeing a new Gremlins movie than a Goonies one.
Just why? Why? I mean, again, we touched on it earlier in this. It's
Monday,
money.
Monday.
I understand that that's the reason why, but again, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
So it doesn't make sense to me because about actually yeah less than a year ago we got a movie that came out called Monster Summer that in a lot of ways, and I didn't watch the movie. I was waiting for it to come on streaming, which I think it came on streaming recently on Paramount, which is probably the first thing I'll watch. But looking at the trailer and who's involved, that movie seemed like a complete send off to movies like Goonies and Monster Squad and just all those like late 80s, early 90s uh kids adventure films featuring monsters. It was just like a microcosm of all of that. So my thought is, and that movie seemed to it didn't like make big waves, but what I can tell, it's generally fine and people accept it as a nice little homage to the era. Like
Well
so
received, but not super popular.
right. So my thought is like, well, if that exists, then what exactly is the point of making a Goonies 2? It's like the people who like those movies now already have their nostalgia tickled, and it didn't do as well as before. Like, what is the play here? Even on a financial standpoint, it's like, are you really?
Be- Because someone in some room did a small test control and it said, "We think we can make money on this, and this is our evidence to back it up." And they said, "Cool, do it."
Oh, I'm convinced like any test to determine like what would you or just like what would you rather see, but they just have the thing they want to make, which in this case like Goonies or Gremlins, like oh, what would you rather see, a new Goonies movie or To Kill a Mockingbird animated, or just something completely off the wall and batshit
Something
stupid?
completely terrible. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, what are the other options?
but that's also why you get such weird concepts, because sometimes they'll just get a random bunch of shitters nowadays, and they're like, you know what? No, we're gonna get this. That's why we're getting a new Animal Farm movie.
Ugh.
Like, but no, it's I I just don't get why, because, and you mentioned this before we were talking about it. It's a timeless classic.
It is. You don't need to change anything. You don't need to revisit it. You don't need to remake it. If you wanted to do some sort of like weird sequel, I mean, maybe you could. I it, but it's fine on its own. It doesn't need anything.
The only way I could see a sequel working is have it be a direct sequel in air quotes, but the main cast of the first one don't even have all of them in it. Have like a few of them as like parents that like cameo like in the beginning or throughout the movie, but have the movie focus on like their kids and a new series of kids that learn about like, oh, our parents used to go on this adventure, we want to have our own adventure, and they basically go out of their way to try to find something and have their own kind of messed up adventure on like on the shore, like in a
Absolutely,
so
that could work. It could, but again,
it just begs the question. It's like we know it can work, but like why? Like it's just
I want to see the thought process leading up to it, because if the thought process leading up to it is just money, then I'm not touching this with a 90-foot pole.
yeah,
Like, I don't care. But if they put even just a little bit of effort and a little bit of thought and a little bit of creativity into it, which is hard to find sometimes,
yeah,
I'm not opposed, but I need to just see. It kind of goes into what we were kind of saying about the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Like, give me a trailer,
yeah,
give me a teaser, give me something. Let me see where the direction of this movie is going.
yeah. And we don't even know like whose names are going to be attached to these beyond Warner Brothers. That's it. We know
Ugh.
we know. Yeah, I know. We know Warner Brothers will be attached to these, which means both of these are likely to get theatrical releases, or at least one of them is likely to get theatrical releases. But well, as far as like who's the director, who's the actor, like with Gremlins, I don't even know who you could get, because like all the people who'd made it before, like they're getting older, want to do other projects, and who would you trust with it now? It's I don't know.
Yeah, there's too many unknowns this early on in the process. My natural tendency is to just poo poo on all of it because
Yeah,
leave it alone. I just someone get a newspaper and a squirt bottle and go up to Warner Brothers Studios and just have a field day.
yeah. I kind of agree. It's just like they're gonna go to you. It's like, hey, we want to make a new Goonies movie.
No,
Stop it!
stop,
Stop!
stop.
Yeah,
No,
get away from that. It's like, oh, well, how about we remake Bad News? No, no, stop! Bad, bad.
have just a handful of people just armed with squirt bottles and fire hoses and newspapers just at every entrance to the building, just on patrol. Before they go home, they have to come up with something that passes a test. If they don't get to leave.
You know what? Every studio should hire somebody like that. Like give it a fancy name, like a hydro hydrodisciplinary
Hey, control
officer.
specialist.
Yeah, and their entire job is to go into like planning meetings and like whatever movies they could do or major decisions, and whenever they say something stupid, just like no, bam, just
Boo! Boo!
boo,
Just give,
boo.
just give them immediate feedback.
Lord knows Disney need like, but what if we? what if we like remade this movie we made 2 years ago, but in live action? No, remake older movies in live action. Well, you want us to remake Treasure Planet? Yes.
Oh my God, yes, please.
but but we need more people like that in Hollywood that just are actively in the room and just spraying them with spray bottles, going, "No, stop it, stupid." Or
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
or just have a Joker style person who's like, for every stupid idea you give me, I'm burning $1 million from each of your bank accounts. Just that'll get us good movies real quick.
Uh, oh man.
I guess the last piece of news was actually fairly. I believe it's the last piece. Yep.
I think
Uh,
so.
yeah, last piece of news where we catch on to the trailers is we had apparently updates from the Star Wars event going on in Japan right now. There's a few things, probably some more I'll touch on the next podcast, but the two immediate things I think are related worth talking about. There's going to be a season 3 of Star Wars Visions, which will include a few of the shorts from the first season are going to get sequels, including like it was pull that up. There was the Duel. What else was it? Yeah, the Duel, the Village Bride, which I'm excited for that one. The Village Bride was that's so much stylized animation, and the Ninth Jedi, which apparently, speaking of that one, the Ninth Jedi is going to get a long form series. It's going to get a long form anime, which I wouldn't be surprised if this sequel to in season 3 of Visions is going to kick off that new anime.
I mean, it is a launching point that would make sense, would fit, and would just make sense from a practical perspective and in universe.
And I believe I said this when I saw it because I know we had talked about it on here, but when it came out, I think the Ninth Jedi was one of like two that's like, man, I hope they make a series out of this because when you watch Star Wars Visions, you kind of know to some degree this is kind of like a pitch meeting for the public. It's like, which would you want to see as a full series? And this just confirms that. Like Ninth Jedi has so much acclaim to it. It's like, yeah, no, we're gonna make it a whole series. And part of it was that story was really interesting.
Which is something that just kind of pops in my head. You kind of mentioned how you could kind of get from watching Visions that these were basically like pitches for a litmus test to gauge the interest of fans in new directions and new pathways to new stories to explore. Is it a? I feel like more studios should be doing that.
Oh yeah, like
Have an IP that is large. Like Star Wars is one of the largest around. I mean, it's a little difficult to be like, oh yeah, everyone just do what Star Wars does. But you have something where you're like, okay, cool, we've got this established, fairly established universe. We have a bunch of different stories we want to tell. We don't know which way to go. Let's do a bunch of mini series, see which ones are popular, and then just piggyback on those.
oh yeah, anthologies just need to make a comeback in general because it's like a cheap way. Like I know people say, "Oh, anthologies are expensive." Not if you do them right. Like the what's it called? The Game Over series. Oh, oh, I got to deal with this little bot. The Game Over series, whatever it's called, that did all the little video game shorts. You know, like Pac Man and Dawn of War and Robotech, all that shit. Like some of those shorts were awesome. I mean, the Pac Man one, woof. I mean, for God's sakes, it gave us what's that one game where like the cover is like a conquistador and it's like it takes place on an island. Fuck, it's this is gonna kill me. But Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the short of that one in the Game Over series, and it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's I'm here to conquer this land. Oh no, my spleen! They actually got Arnold Schwarzenegger to just be. He already has the best viewers. Be gone, bot. Yes, thank you, Griffin. But like, yes, that's actually a line from the anime or from the little short where Arnold Schwarzenegger just goes, "It's like, yes, I will defeat you. I my spleen."
Oh, things I never knew I needed until now.
Watch the series. It's just at least that episode. That one, the Pac-Man one, and the Sifu one, dude. I haven't even played Sifu, but that Sifu short. Mwah. Oh. told
I'll
me,
definitely have to check it out.
yeah.
Add that to my notes here.
But no, like with Star Wars Visions, like now I say it's a litmus test. I think it's true to a degree, but I think with Visions they really did let all these animators just go off the wall and just put in their own style to it, and that's kind of I think why this is so popular and what was missing. Like the duel was awesome because
Released creativity instead of a forced template to stick to.
right. Listen, we all love the Skywalker saga, but maybe focus on other parts of the damn story. Like
No, only Skywalker.
it's a large galaxy. Like, I mean, to be fair, that's the message that people are getting because from what I could tell, the most popular things Star Wars right now are the Andor series, everything about the Mandalorian, and Star Wars Visions are like the popular things at the moment.
Huge universe. Go crazy. Especially since they, deleted and said all of the old universe is non-canon.
Yeah, yeah,
Assholes.
that's a can of worms. That, but no, it's more yeah, more franchises need to do something like this. But also Star Wars news that I have to talk about. I have to tell you about this. And I'm just gonna point people this on stream just because I find this hilarious. It's not movie related, it's game related, but it makes me squee. It makes me happy. And damn it, it might get me to play that season. The next season of Fortnite is going to be Star Wars themed, and you want to know what one of the what one of the key like skins is for that season for you to get?
Tell me.
Darth Jar Jar.
I want to hate it. I want to hate it so badly.
Like it's literally in the trailer of Darth Jar Jar just shooting foresight against somebody. I'm like, son of a bitch, they did it. They actually put it. It's no longer a meme.
Well, the whole game is a meme,
Yeah.
but I get your point.
Misa show you the power of the dark side.
Again, like I want to hate it on principle because it's Fortnite, but I can't hate that specifically.
No, no, Fortnite.
I have to begrudgingly give them their respect.
Fortnite has devolved into a game where the Undertaker could just go up to Finn and go, "Hey Finn, we got to go over there and kill Godzilla." That's what Fortnite is now.
It is. You're not wrong. That's exactly what it is. And it's not a bad thing. It's just
It's just a meme based off of a BS fan theory. Whether or not it's BS or not is debatable in my mind. I'm not either way on that theory. I think its existence is funny, but that's a discussion for another day.
and is you can't really what's not
Ooh,
because the old canon's not canon. So what actually happened to Jar Jar may not have actually happened. We don't know.
I might do an episode later on where instead of talking about movies per se, we just do like Star Wars theories all fucking day just to see how many people defend Darth Jar Jar. Well, let's see. But I guess that'll wrap up the news. We could talk about trailers. Fortunately, there's fewer trailers to talk about. The first, 28 years later. Like,
I didn't know I needed it. I like. I'm not like a super huge like zombie movie fan. I have a
yeah,
few that I like.
yeah,
The 28 Days Later zombies are terrifying. They're not the scariest
yeah,
uh, zombies in being portrayed in film. They are definitely up there. And watching the trailer, this had almost, and I mentioned it, almost a like Dying Light type of feel to it, where you're going out, you're traversing on your own, you're just kind of hoping to survive long enough to be useful.
yeah. And what I think one of the themes of this trailer, because like in the we did have get a previous trailer that was less about showing the story and more just like this is what the characters are and this is where it's going to place. This goes into enough detail as a trailer without really showing off details. Which that's also one thing I want a quick aside. Is it just me or have movie trailers in the past few months actually gotten better where we as fans are now able to pick up on certain things and now able to tell, oh, this trailer is actually not revealing a whole lot. Like, and I get that from all the trailers shown today.
You're not wrong. The ones today, for sure, kind of have that feel of like there's enough there to give you just a taste, but not enough to make you go, "Oh, well, I've watched the trailer. I've seen the whole movie."
Yeah, like that was really prevalent a few years ago, but lately I don't know. I've seen fewer trailers like that. Like I see all the trailers and like, no, these people are hiding something. I'm hyped for the movie. I want to know more. Tell me more. But with 28 years later, what I'm able to glean from this trailer is that apparently there's like an outcropping of people on this island just offshore. For all we know, this could be like in Virginia or some shit. But in and they just have this sanctuary there where everything is peaceful, and through some means or something, maybe it's through some military escapades, maybe through some freak accident, the zombies are then lured to the island because maybe they have to go look for resources or something, and it's just this devolution of society and just how have
It's
they
an apocalypse within an apocalypse.
exactly. And like I feel like this could potentially be like a really great character study of a film. But God, what is selling me, and I don't know what it is, but the music they've chosen for the trailers is just so haunting. I just
The music was a good choice. I will give you that. You did
yeah.
kind of give me a heads up of like, hey, the soundtracks that they put into this trailer hit. They slap. They do it, and you weren't wrong.
Yeah, like it's impressive me because I'm not super into zombie movies either. Like the ones that I go for are usually comedies, like Shaun of the Dead or Dead Alive. When I think scary zombies, I do agree with to a point with the 28 Days Later. I also think of World War Z, honestly, and I don't know if that's a hot take, but just the imagery of just like a wave, a literal wave of zombies just piling on each other just to get that scrap of meat seems
Right, no, like those are definitely just other terrible things because, like you mentioned, like with Shaun of the Dead, like the zombies are slow, they're stupid. I mean, if in a zombie apocalypse, if the zombies are Shaun of the Dead zombies, humanity is going to be fine, and you even kind of see that at the end of that movie itself, that humanity just kind of like adapts. It's like, oh, okay, this
yeah.
is fine. But then you get ones like World War Z where you've got like a turnaround time of well you've been infected you've got like was it like 13 or 20 seconds or whatever and then you're infected and you turn and then the 28 days zombies where they're smart they hunt in packs there's levels of almost like a hierarchy within their own like system that they work on and it's not fun. It is not a fun time. It's not a fun universe to try and not be a zombie in.
Yeah. It this could be a very good movie because like it seems like this is a film that is earnestly trying to make zombies scarier or scary again when I feel like we as a collective have kind of dismissed zombies to the not really the trash
They're
bin, but we kind of push them aside because we kind of get zombies.
they're the floor of horror movie villains.
Right. And like
They're
everyone kind of gets any metaphor we can get from there. Like, oh, this is a metaphor for consumerism and just losing our blah, 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 blah. Everyone kind of gets like all the metaphors tied to zombies, so we kind of dismiss them. But this movie seems to be going the extra mile. Like, no, we want you to remember zombies are fucking scary, and that makes me
right,
happy.
particularly our zombies.
Yes. So,
These are not your great value zombies. These are your bougie Target zombies.
Yes, this might get me to. It's all going to come down to how many movie passes I have because July this year I'm going to be just going off on movies all fucking summer long. But depending if I have a free movie pass, I might just take some time to catch up on the 28 days, 28 movies, and then rewatch this or watch this one in theaters because
I definitely need to rewatch the 28 Days movies. Was it days, weeks, months? So kudos to them also for staying on theme with the naming. But definitely a series I do remember legitimately being like, oh, F this, watching them. and just like imagining, because I mean everyone does it when you watch a horror movie. Everyone sits and goes, "Don't go in there, don't grab that, don't do the thing." The 28 Days movies are very much one of the few movies I've watched where I was like, actually, you know what? I don't want to be here. I don't want to put myself in the headspace of having to survive what is going on right now. I will see myself out.
So does that mean in 200 years we're gonna get a 28 decades later?
Potentially.
Oh gosh, at that point it would be a meme.
You know, like I mean, I won't be around to see it, obviously, but I almost hope someone does, like just for the memes.
It's just do it from the zombies' perspective. It's now so far in the future. There's literally only one zombie, and humanity's kind of rebuilt itself.
Oh man, what a flip!
Actually, damn, that actually sounds like a
That's
fun
not a bad
concept.
idea, actually. Better copyright that before someone takes
Shit.
it.
Oh shit! Copyright here.
TM,
Trademark. Kino Korner. Trademark.
TM.
Trademark. Oh
TM.
fuck, dude! I just gave an idea for a reverse zombie movie. Yo, y'all want to make a movie later just to talk a bunch about this stuff?
Oh, oh goodness.
Oh, I guess. You have any more thoughts on this one before we move on to the next trailer?
No, I'm good. We can move on.
All right, next trailer. Here we go. Predator, Killer of Killers. I decided to go show the picture of the super buff Predator. Just,
Right.
just.
Unga bunga.
Like, I really liked Prey. I only saw it recently when Griffin showed it to me. Very good movie. Very good movie. Um, so this is like the same story, just like same concept, but different time periods, and each episode's just a different type of warrior. I want to. I just want to see some of these interactions, specifically Vikings and samurai.
I mean, I kind of made mention of it and alluded to it when we were talking about it earlier. Of like, you look through most of the Predator examples that you see in films throughout the IP, and they always end up losing. Yes, they're powerful. They're well, relatively competent at times, and but they always lose. So then you see this trailer of them like, okay, now there's Vikings, now there's samurai, now there's World War II combat pilots, and it's like, am, am I about to watch a bunch of Predators get their ass kicked by centuries of humans?
Here's now. I hope not. I think sometimes the humans will win, but here's what I hope. I hope this is a case where like it is just like split down the middle, where sometimes the humans win, sometimes the predator wins, and it kind of showcases like basically they take an approach almost like death battle, where like this is what would realistically happen, like with how this
Right.
faction, how they fight, how quickly could they pick up on ways to kill the predator, or could they? Like I can see with the World War II pilots, it would basically take them blowing up their damn plane. But I could see a fucked up situation where they take out a predator, but basically make themselves stranded or some shit. Like I can see that as a
Right. Like they
possibility.
they it's they are able to take them down, but it nearly they have to lose their plane in the process. They're crashed somewhere. Maybe they survive, but it's not anything directly because of the predator that they die. It's just they got left out in the middle of the ocean with no rescue.
Right. And with like Vikings though, maybe a hot take, but I don't think a Viking would win against a predator, like even in the full context, because they're less about hunting and more about just seafaring, battle, and conquest, and just that kind of stuff, which is not the predators. Predator don't play that. So, like I said, I hope that's the approach they take, where they take like, let's realistically, could they pick up on this predator? Are we just gonna watch a story of these people dying or what? I think it may take a few
The
little liberties, but yeah, it can be a little 50-50.
the stare down, the honor stare down of like what the predator considers honorable and what the samurai considers honorable will be an immensely entertaining scenario.
Oh yeah, no, it's just gonna be Indiana Jones all over again. It's like I would fight you with my samurai sword. That's a
Just gets
fucking
a
gun.
friggin' plasma hole just blown right through his chest. Just absolutely just vaporizes. The
I
winds of Hokkaido aren't blowing today.
I want to see a just like a someone like a World War II dude. Like as soon as he sees like a plasma cannon shot, just like, nope, I'm out. Just give them then and there. I think that would just be the funniest thing.
Just immediately just ejects. I'm done.
Uh, it, I'm excited for this. I've also loved the animation style. I this style.
Yeah, I will say that too. It did look, the style fit very well for the theme and like the story they were telling and what they were going for with it. I think the art and the style of the animation goes very well.
I'm also just like this one has a few jumpy frames. I think that honestly, the Spider Verse movies have now left a lasting mark on what we consider good modern animation, because this has a few influences from Spider Verse. Like Puss in Boots took a few influences from it. Um,
Arc, the animated series.
yeah, I wish that did, but like and apparently some movies we learned about from CinemaCon a while ago are purportedly going to look similar as well. So I'm glad that that style of animation is getting a lot of respect. This show looks good. I don't know what else to say. Like it looks really good.
I will probably watch it.
Uh, Now, the last trailer, the one everyone knows about, Fantastic Four. But no, I
For the fourth time.
for the
I
fourth
think
time.
this is time.
Yeah, this is the fourth Fantastic Four team. He is it? He no.
It's
Yes.
third or fourth.
Yes, third or fourth.
I lost count. It's the third or the fourth.
Yeah. No, it's fourth because you had Roger Corman, you had the other Fantastic Four, then you had Fan Four Stick, and then now you got this.
Right, there you go. So it is the fourth. Well, I mean, maybe it truly will be the Fantastic Four.
Maybe. I we did get a trailer before, but I want to talk about this one because like in the first trailer we got was felt like more of like a general glimpse of the tone of the movie, which looked everyone it looks great. We didn't get a lot, but we got this. This gives us a little more about how the four of them are going to interact, a clearer look at like the Silver Surfer, which side note, tangent on the Silver Surfer, if you care so much about the Silver Surfer being a dude, get over yourself. I'm sorry. Like
But the source material.
like this is look there are characters that I do believe it is important they need to be like a certain race or gender. I do believe it's important for some characters. I don't think Silver Surfer is one of those just because of their specific role. They're a Herald of Galactus, and a lot of people have been a Herald of Galactus.
Yeah, that's not exactly a small selection of people.
I mean, listen, I don't want to just give spoilers for a comic series happening right now, but King Ghidorah is the goddamn Herald of Galactus.
I
Which
mean, there's a handful of heroes, villains, and anyone and everyone in between, from the comic standpoints, that have at some point served as a herald of Galactus.
so
It's
yeah, like
it's not a
yeah,
it's not an elite group.
yeah, like I know everyone was expecting Norrin Rad, and like I'm sure Norrin Rad will make an appearance. I mean, with the cast list we got for Doomsday, that specific Silver Surfer may well make an appearance. Like that's still possible. But no, what we got from this actress it seems fine. I mean, I saw her in Wolfman, so I think she'll do wonderful in this. But the other big thing, again, was just how the family interacted, because all we really got was some brief talks about like from the thing and Sue Storm. This one we get a little bit more from Reed Richards, from Johnny Storm, and just how they interact as a family. When I first saw the interaction of like Sue announcing she's pregnant and Johnny Storm just going around the table giving like, "Oh, you're gonna do great. You're not. You're way over your head." Like, no,
Correct.
this guy, he's gonna do good. This is Johnny Storm. He's a smart ass. He's just he's like putting his arm around the thing and like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be the best uncles." Just
Correct. It's like, we'll be fine. You, however, will not.
yeah, like, I, and I think that's the kind of the big crux of it is I think the last Fantastic Four movie didn't work because it put so much emphasis on the relationship between Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom, it kind of lost what made the Fantastic Four fantastic.
The other three members.
Yeah. So so we know that we know like this now this movie's in a weird position because we know, full disclosure, this movie is doing two things: establishing the Fantastic Four in their own standalone movie, but it is also the lead-in to Avengers Doomsday. Like, it is. That is the next MCU movie coming out after Fantastic Four is Avengers Doomsday in 2026. We are shockingly close to that. God, I hope it. But
Uh,
Thunderbolts and this are going to have after credit scenes that, well, maybe Thunderbolts, definitely Fantastic Four are going to have things that tie into that, which I know some people view Marvel as homework. I get it. I So this movie's doing a lot. So for the fact that from that trailer, I'm still able to get comfortable with these four people, like look at this group and go, no, no, that's Reed Richards. That's the Thing. That's Johnny Storm. The fact that I could just confidently and comfortably say that is very nice. And I hope that that tone carries over in the film.
yeah, that's a good point. They were distinct. Even in the trailer, they were distinct. They had their usual, like, stereotypical sort of like qualities that are the running themes for their characters canonically. So yeah, like you said, it does do a better job to kind of establish them. They're not like, unfortunately, have happened in some of the past Fantastic Four movies where they're all just slight modifications of the same character.
Mm-hmm.
um and so being able to, like you said, go, okay, there's the attitude, the smart mouth of Johnny, there's the caring, family, family devoted person of Sue, and there's Reed, just completely out of his element and trying to be the smartest person in the MCU.
He's the smartest man in the world, but is completely socially inept. That's kind of Mr. Fantastic in a nutshell.
Correct. I mean, when you have the Council of Reed Richards and it's just made up of all of the alternate timeline Reed Richards because he's the only person smart enough to keep up with himself.
But why does Sue stay with him? He can stretch. Oh,
Correct. 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 He knows he can stretch, and again, he's the smartest person in the world. That includes anatomy, physiology, and math.
Oh, and we got to see him stretch in the trailer. Yay! And people are like surprised at CGI. Like, did you
Yeah.
did you expect Pedro Pascal to like dislocate his arm or something? What did you expect
No,
here?
he was supposed to be strapped to a rack, stretched, and then do the scenes. They had to film the movie in a very particular order.
Oh my gosh. No, like the stretching looks fine. I'm down to see it. I am currently like in an internal conflict. When I buy tickets for this, like I have enough movie passes. It's between this and Superman. I'm going to see one of them in IMAX, and I would like to see it with people. But I just, which one do I want to see in IMAX more? Because that's where my budget is. I can only see one, and I have to decide which is more of a spectacle: Galactus or just all of the awesome shots you know are going to be in the new Superman. Just like what can we do at this point to make stretching look realistic? Well, I'll tell you what we don't do. We don't do what Miss Marvel did and make her powers not stretchy powers. Just make her a not Green Lantern.
Not Green Lantern.
It's like I can tell you what we don't do, but yeah, you're right, Griffin. Like stretching is one of those powers that's just so inherently silly. It's like no matter what you do, there's only so much you could do to make it look realistic. It's just
The power in and of itself requires. I mean, granted, I mean, you kind of look at it the same way with Johnny's power of just setting himself on fire. Yes, you could. There are ways you could technically actually set someone on fire and they'd be fine. I'm not going to ask my actor to method act and get set on fire for to demonstrate his
right.
powers.
Yeah.
I'm, I'm not going to dislocate somebody's shoulder, and so their arm can go a few more inches.
Right. Like we're
There
going
comes a point where like you have to do a suspension of disbelief and then go, okay, no, they have to do it this way because realistically there is no way to do it because it's a superpower. It's fictional.
right. Like we're going into this, we know like okay, all of their powers are going to be depicted using CGI. And even then, to be honest, like Johnny Storm and the Thing and like their powers look
Look
great.
clean.
Yeah. Like I one detail I didn't notice at first in the first trailer. I think we got it a little bit in this one, but there's a shot in the first trailer of Johnny Storm just flying through the air, and people did like a slow mo cap of just that flying scene and found that there is enough detail where while he's flying, there's like a stream of evaporating like water vapor just at his fingertips because he's like burning the water molecules in the air as he flies through them. Just like if they're
The
putting that much detail, good God.
right, I can appreciate that.
Like I don't know. It's like I see this trailer like I want it to be good. I know Marvel's had a bit of a hint in the past few years. I don't know, man. This and Thunderbolts. I don't know. I see them. I watched uh Captain America: Brave New World. I don't think it was like the best Marvel thing we gotten in a while, but it was much better than I thought it was going to be. Thunderbolts looks like a good old traditional Marvel outing. Just a strappy bunch of underdogs dealing with a threat they're not equipped to deal with. And then we have Fantastic Four, which just looks. This movie looks extra in the best way possible.
I'd agree with that. Like I said, there's it looks like prior to previous iterations of the Fantastic Four, it looks like it's potentially like the most it how to say I had a way of saying it, then my brain just died. Um, they're the way the characters play off of each other in this one feels more organic
Yeah.
than in some of the last ones where it's kind of forced. They you don't really feel like it's the character saying it. And then, like you said, some of the attention to detail that they're going into, like if they're going into that level of detail where there's water molecules evaporating, like okay, now they're just showing off.
Right. Like it's very clear that Marvel put a lot. Like Marvel allocates their money in certain projects, and I am convinced that the Marvel budget for the next movies are now all between Fantastic Four and the next Avengers movies. I am convinced of that because there's a lot going on with this, and I'm convinced myself, and I'm going to hold myself to this. I'm going to watch both Fantastic Four and Superman in theaters. I'm going to watch both of them, and they're going to be the thing that kind of sell. Like, do I continue watching Marvel after this because it's getting kind of weird? Do I completely shift over to DC because Creature Commandos is fucking awesome? I like Blue Beetle, and if Superman's pretty good, hey, DC might actually be onto something for the first time in a while. Like, am I gonna like jump ship? Am I gonna try to keep up with both? Like, this is gonna be a very interesting summer for superhero movies.
Better get yourself a second journal.
Yeah, right. It's like remember, kids, take your notes. Every Marvel movie is homework. Yeah,
Pretty much. That
but
one character that you saw for 10 seconds that you didn't think was relevant is going to be the main character in this other movie.
yeah, it's probably easy for me to keep up with like Marvel movies because I've spent the last 25 years keeping up with One Piece, and they're worse about that shit.
Your entire life has been training up for this moment.
Welcome to Wano. We're at chapter 1000. Remember this old dude in chapter 1? He's back, motherfucker. Wait, what? Like, no, One Piece does that shit all the time, dude. I'm so used to it with that series. So just, I guess with Marvel, like, it's easy. I'm like already fine tuned to remember like all this little shit. But
You're just desensitized. You're like, oh, it's this again. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I
Uh,
I guess with that, that goes last of the trailer for today. And until before we go on to our main event, let's talk about any new and recent films. As have you seen anything new? And this isn't just something that's like new in theaters, like any new film that came out. This could be something that's like new to you that you saw for the first time. You think is worth talking about briefly. Do you have anything before we move on to the main event?
The only thing that I want to throw out there, and it's not a new movie. It is not a recent movie, but the movie theater near where I live, actually, I think it's on the is it the 20? Actually, it's in like I think it's this weekend. They are re-showing episode 3 Revenge of the Sith in theaters again. And granted, I this is going to lead right into the very next guilty pleasure things. I enjoy the prequel series. I know people hate it. I enjoy the prequel series. I saw all of them in theaters, and I enjoyed them. And seeing that they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna do episode 3 in theaters again. It's like, man, that's really exciting. It made me happy in a way that I didn't realize I hadn't. It just hit different.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's. I know it said it was like in select theaters. I don't know if it's a whole bunch of different theaters. But I just saw that, and I just stopped, and kind of turned and looked at the movie poster, and just for a few minutes, just kind of, huh. I don't think I'm doing anything that weekend.
Dude, like we need more we need more Fathom events. We need more Fathom events because a few months ago, I for the anniversary I saw Neverending Story in theaters. Oh, okay.
See, I did that a few years ago with The Princess Bride. They were replaying it in theaters a few years ago. Bro, I say a few years ago. Jesus,
But
like
before
12.
I get to the main thing, because I do have something I watched recently I want to talk about, but like just to briefly touch on this again with Neverending Story in the theaters, more Fathom events. Go see more Fathom events because I learned through that showing. You know when like at the end of a movie when the lights come on. Apparently, when that is supposed to happen is pre-programmed by the movie. That's not decided on by like some guy up in the booth. Everything is roughly automated. So like as the big execs, they're like, all right, this movie, we the credits roll here, then there's this after credit scene here, so we need the lights to start coming on here. That's kind of so everything is roughly automated. They just have somebody popping in every once in a while to check and make sure everything's up to snuff.
Right, make sure nothing's on fire.
So whoever did set that up for Never Ending Story was cooking. And I know it's gonna sound weird, but like they took advantage of the fact that these were not traditional lights; these were dimmers because you remember Never Ending Story. You remember how it ends. Just
Yep.
when Bastion makes his wish at the very end, as the music starts like building and slowly building, that's when they start to turn on the lights. Like very slowly, the lights go to their peak, and as soon as you see him riding on Falcor, the lights are just at their brightest. Like, oh,
Okay, see, they
they
made it
cooked.
3D.
They cooked
They
with that
immersed it.
moment. Yeah, and it was such a fun thing to experience. Just
That is
ah.
really cool.
Like I did it reminded me like even something as simple as fucking lights can have an impact in the theater. Maybe reinforce God, I love the theater. But there is something that is new to me that I watched. And honestly, I only watched it binging it yesterday. And if you want to watch this on let me make sure that they are still showing it. Let's see here. Yes, they are. On Shouts TV on Twitch, they are currently running a repeat on Marathon. There is an old show called Jim Henson's The Storyteller that I have been watching. There's only 9 episodes, and there it's like a sequel series. Jim Henson's Greek Myths only has I believe 5 or 6. Uh, each episode is about 30 to 40 minutes long, and it goes through a story that is either a direct rip of or inspired by a cultural fable. All of the creature effects and everything in therein are from the Jim Henson workshop. So I mean, some of these effects are as good, if not better, than something you'd seen in something like The Labyrinth. To me, like these are
Oh,
like yeah, this came
that
out 87 to 89. Like it's I watched it the whole. I'm a little guilty here, but the main reason I didn't stream last night, I started to, but I started working on like slides and stuff for this, and in the background I started playing that. I got so enthralled. I ended up binging all of the episodes through Twitch, and I was just the image where you just see a kid just like holding his chin up and just like staring at like his grandma reading a book or something, just like, oh, I felt like that. Like the guy they got for the storyteller, how they got for the stories, it's so good. It's so good. Like if y'all just want to like, and the effects look great. Like I encourage y'all. This the way they tell the stories and shoot this. It's on Shout TV right now. I don't know how long they're going to be streaming it. Um, but it's what drew me in honestly was the effects. My favorite episode of Storyteller is one called "The Soldier in Death," and basically it just goes to the story of this soldier who, through acts of kindness and his own wits, is able to get a hold of some very powerful magical items, and eventually, like after every like gets caught in this castle by demons, uh through this magical deck of cards, he's able to basically cheat the demons. Like there's a funny little reaction. It's like, is he cheating? Well, I am, and I'm still losing. and, and like eventually he pulls in this magic sack where like I think it's I can't remember exactly how it works. I think it's just a command word because to trap somebody in it, he goes like, well, what is this? Well, that's a sack. Then get in it then. And like, wait, what? And then he basically gets sucked into the sack. Like I can't remember exactly what the trigger is, if it's just them acknowledging it or that's the one part I forget. But he basically has this, and he traps the demon, and his life is going great. He keeps doing these things that, like through or questionable means, he's trying to do good.
Right.
At some point, the king calls him over to help this princess, someone who the soldier admired. This demon has basically been helping him, and he cut off the demon's foot, used it as a planter for the as a gift for the princess, and through reasons that are not
Yeah,
so
that's kind of metal.
yeah, and not so obvious, like not so it's pretty obvious that the demon is trying to place a curse for sickness, but the demon, in a whole effort to get out of it, the demon shows him as well, like, this glass with the water inside of it will let you see death. And he looks over the girl, and you actually have this depiction of death by Jim Henson, just kind of lingering over this girl. Is like, and the demon's like, once it reaches her head, it'll be too late. She cannot be saved. And it's like, so is that time? It's like, yes. And it was like, okay, listen, you tell me how to save her. Let me keep this glass. You can go free. And he's like, really? Oh, well, shit. All right. Just take a little dab of water, and he basically saves this girl from death, scares death away. Um, and eventually, everyone's coming to him. Everyone is coming to him for this. It's like, oh, you can curtail death, and he just wanders the world. Sometimes he looks through the glass. Oh, it's too late. Oh, I could save this person. Like he doesn't lie about it. But at some point, like even he, like the king himself falls ill, and in an effort to save the king, because it's too late to save him, all the nobles are like berating him, like, "Oh, you could save all these beggars, but you can't save your king." He tries
Right.
one last act to goes like, "Death, take me, spare the king." So he decides to do that, go to his bed. His family is of course mourning for him. The king is thankful for him, but through the glass, which he never let go, he's basically watching death, and he tries to speak with him one last time, and he actually traps death in the sack before he realizes what's going on.
Oops.
But in doing so, nobody can die.
Nobody can die because he's trapped death.
So over the next few years, everyone just starts wandering to him. All these old people and sick people that just crave death are just like, please, just we end it. Like he's living good, but like he didn't realize like all the harm he's caused. So
Right.
he decides like to like let death out of the sack, but in doing so, he has become cursed. Death is now afraid of him. He is immortal.
Which immortality, like I've mentioned it before, and like we've had discussions in the past outside of the podcast of how terrible true immortality would be.
Yeah. I won't spoil the very end because it is kind of dark, but it's just how it goes about telling these stories and just how it shows these little creatures. It's so engaging. I, I cannot recommend this enough. Like these episodes are on Shout TV on Twitch right now. I know next time I go to a movie training company, I'm going to look for a DVD because there's only 9 episodes. Like Death and the Soldier is my favorite, but there's another one, funny one called Fear Not, about this guy who just literally fears nothing and is just going on a question to try to find out what fear is. So it's like you have
Okay,
like,
that's got a level of comedy to it.
oh, absolutely, like all these bullies try to scare him. They put on this big convincing costume, like bear skull, deer skull, and it's like rah, like, oh, hello there, like are you a troll? No, we're so much worse than a troll. Rah. It's like, oh, well, that seems quite bad. It's he has this dickish smug aura to him.
Completely unfazed.
Yeah. But yeah, like, and if you like that, like
It's
the sequel series goes over Greek myths, like you have one about like the Minotaur and like the Medusa. They do take some liberties with all of the stories, like
well, of course.
but in general, like it just it's so good, dude. It's so good.
We'll definitely have to check those out.
Yeah,
Those sound very. Make add a little bit my notes here to check those out.
yeah. And again, right, they're like streaming right now on Shout TV. So shout out to that Twitch channel. After we're done here, just head on over to Shout TV. They're streaming all the episodes just in order. They're just on repeat. So just have that on the background for you. It's good shit, man. But that brings us to our main topic of the night: guilty pleasures. Oh boy.
Yes. Now I remember we had this conversation when earlier we were prefacing like, okay, what constitutes a guilty pleasure?
So a guilty pleasure, and I had to kind of like wrap my brain around this too, because I honestly thought at first I thought it'd be an easy question to answer, and I put it on the wheel. But when I thought about it, it's like I really had to dig through and find movies. So a guilty pleasure is one. It's a movie that you recognize is not a good movie. In some capacity, it has failed to do something or some main thing, and like this is as objectively speaking as you can think, a bad movie. However, there's even if it's and usually because maybe you disagree with the world on this, maybe like, yeah, I know it's a bad movie, but I really love it. It's really fun. An an easy example, if you don't mind me going first with one,
Go ahead.
this is one that I talked about briefly last week when we had our Don Bluth episode. There is exactly one Don Bluth movie that I would consider a guilty pleasure because everyone kind of acknowledges it's like one of, if not his weakest film. It's just not very good, but I'm just like, screw y'all, it's fun. Rockadoodle. Like,
Okay.
I know it's not that good, especially compared to everything else Don Bluth does. I mean, he made Secret of Nim, he made American Tail, like he made Land Before Time, and all of a sudden you have a rooster and then you have a badger like licking gold paint, whatever the fuck he was doing in that limo. But it's just the musical score, and I don't care how bad the movie is, just the very end of Rockadoodle where like he gets his crow back and he basically erupts from the very earth, and you just have this echo just Rockadoo just as he just shoots up to the sky. Like it is so hokey, I just can't help but love it. And just for like these moments of just hokey stupid fun, I know
So
it's a
bad it's good.
I know, man. I know it's not that good of a movie. I know it's flawed, and I know like some of the characters make no damn sense. But Rockadoo, what a day! Sun is shining bright. I can't help it, man. But that to me is what a guilty pleasure is. Like it's bad. You know it like deep in your heart. Like if you feel guilty watching it to some degree, but you overtake that guilt very easily. It's like, no, I don't care if it's bad. This is fun. Like I wouldn't count Killer Clowns from Outer Space because I believe to some point in a collective sense we have like kind of grown this respect and acknowledgement for the movie. So there's a lot of cult classics that are I wouldn't consider guilty pleasures
Right.
because
And like I said, when we first going down, when I first started thinking about guilty pleasures, there were some movies like kind of like Labyrinth or Galaxy Quest or Mystery Men where it's like, okay, the, yes, the movie's not like good, but it's good at what it does.
Yeah.
And it has, especially Labyrinth, has a huge cult following. I'm a proud member of that cult following. So you can't say it's a guilty pleasure when, okay, maybe some critic doesn't think it's a good movie, but when you and 30 other people are sitting there singing Dance Magic Dance, like you kind of have to, at a point, realize that, okay, maybe it doesn't qualify as a guilty pleasure.
Right. Like at some point, like when you know that everyone around you likes the movie as much as you do, there's little to no guilt involved. I know that most people I know either don't never heard of Rockadoodle, and those who did are just kind of really that's you like that Don Bluth movie. So that's why like that's a guilty pleasure. Like the few people that know what it is are kind of like really okay, whatever, dude. So
So my guilty pleasure, I'll take my role here. The first one that popped in my mind, because I know it's not a good movie. I know it's not, but I love it. Parts of it bring me to tears. Parts of it still make me laugh. Independence Day.
the
Is it a good movie? Absolutely not. Are there some quotable lines, some key moments, some really intense bits to it? Absolutely. Overall, meh, but I love it. I love that movie.
and I know that's kind of like borderline in the cult territory, but I would still count that as a guilty pleasure because I don't think Independence Day was trying to be a comedy. I think it was trying to just play it serious as an alien disaster movie, and
Yes,
that's
and
what.
there were times in like you said, some of the lines there, we look and we laugh, but you can kind of tell in the moment they're like, oh, no, they were trying to be serious in that moment.
I mean,
That was supposed to be a serious line, and it just elicited laughter, and it's like, oh, that fell flat, but it fell flat in a good way. It's just, it's again, it's not good. Do I enjoy it? Absolutely. Will I watch it if it's on? Do I own it on DVD? Also, yes.
Griffith says Roland Emmerich because a lot of those movies cough cough Godzilla '98 cough cough. I mean, hey, I thought about adding Godzilla '98 as a guilty pleasure to spite Godzilla fans, but here's the thing of
Despite yourself.
well, here's the thing about that. I have come to realize that if you're not a Godzilla fan, you generally like don't mind Godzilla '98. You think it's fun, but if you're the breed of Godzilla fan that's so up your own ass that like you just hate everything that's not from Japan, you despise '98. And to stick it to those gatekeeping assholes, I just want to say, you know what? Fuck y'all. I like Godzilla '98. Like, so that's I don't know if I'd count it as
The
a
pure
guilty.
elitists all just stroked out.
Like I don't feel guilty for liking it because the only people who are really offended by that are the elitist gatekeeping assholes in the Godzilla community. Like so, which yeah, there's no guilt there. That's just me holding up the bird.
Watch it out of spite.
Yeah, yeah. Because no, like with Godzilla '98 specifically, like the only thing that's I think wrong with that movie is that it's called Godzilla. If you called it anything else, it would have been a very, very decent monster movie. Because if you go back and watch some of the effects they did and how they did that, they are more impressive than you remember. Like there is a lot more practical than you remember in that movie. Like it took me aback a little bit, just like oh, what, huh? All right, well, damn. Like there is
I can
clear
I can hear
effort.
the purists getting upset now. You're
Good,
angering the internet.
good. Give me your salt. I'm eating French fries later.
uh, so do you have another one?
I do. Okay, so I tried to think of guilty pleasure movies. I had three, and I'm trying to remember what that third one was because I kind of went up and down with it. But to go before I'm thinking about what that third one was, when I think of like bad movies, like I know these are bad, my mind actually went to a filmmaker we talked about in a previous episode, Charles Band. A lot of his movies are not very good. However, because of how much passion he puts in there and how much a little bit of nods to the camera he does, there's a lot of his movies I wouldn't necessarily count as guilty pleasures. That being said, there is one that like you know exactly what you were doing with this, No one was for it. You just wanted to have fun, and I respect you. The critics be damned. The audience be damned. I loved watching this stupid fucking movie. Um, you know what Puppet Master is?
Yes.
There is a sci-fi original movie called Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys.
Hmm. There's a lot to unpack in what you just said.
I'm, I'm pretty sure you can guess the plot with just the title.
It does not leave a lot to the imagination, no.
I mean, this is a movie where like they get like one of those. The Demonic Toys is another one of his franchises, and one of the pivotal characters is a thing called a Baby Oopsie Daisy or whatever the fuck. It's like one of those girl like dolls like advertised for girls that like shits their pants for some fucking reason. Dolls are
Right.
stupid, but it's one of those dolls that has it distorts its face to look very just have this menacing smile, and it basically they have one of the iconic puppets from Puppet Master, which I can't fuck what is his name? It's the one that wears like the black trench coat, has like the white mask, and just
Oh,
you know which one I'm talking about.
um, yes, I wasn't expecting a pop quiz, but yes, I know which one you're
Yeah,
referring to.
basically there's a point where they basically have a stare down, and the baby just starts brandishing a knife, like, "Yeah, I'm a cut you, you fucking asshole. Yeah, yeah." Like that's a scene in the movie before the baby doll and the marionette have a knife fight. Like we know this
Okay,
is stupid.
that's pretty terrible, but I respect it.
Like we know this is stupid. Like I don't know why the internet is just so to understand. Like God, these films are bad. I just dismiss this one, but I'm just like, yeah, this film is bad. But what are you expecting? The Puppet Master franchise has now devolved to a point where they fight Nazis. Like, like,
Ah,
like we're
very apropos of my next pick.
like we're just at that point now. Like, I will happily watch it again. Like and but I'm not gonna look for peak fucking cinema, dude. There's probably like maybe 5 minutes of decent acting because the movie knows what it is.
So my next pick, kind of jumping off of your fighting Nazis, uh, granted, it probably does have a level of a cult following to it, but anyone with a decent head on their shoulders that is a fan of this franchise will recognize that this one is the weakest, well, most recent movies excluded. Of the original trilogy, it was the weakest of the three. Temple of Doom, Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh my.
Is it a good movie? Absolutely not. But is it still enjoyable to watch? Does everybody know the line from the movie? Yes. Is it good? No. Will I still watch it if it's on? I will. Yes. I know it's not good. I know it's bad. I know the acting is terrible. Everything is over the top. The last 3 hours, well, not the last 3 hours, what feels like the last 3 hours of the movie drags on forever, but I like it.
Yep. Oh, that's the fun thing about guilty pleasures is like it everyone has one whether you think about it or not because once I started thinking about it like I have guilty pleasures like there's a lot of movies I like that it's one of those ones I was stressing about but as soon as I kind of narrowed it down it became easy and I just remembered the third one that I remembered like it literally just came to me I looked over in like a stack of movies and I was like I had the movie what oh and it just came to my brain but before I get into that is there anything else you want to talk about with Indiana Jones.
Okay, again, present or most recent movies excluded. The first one, classic, great, fantastic. Raiders, peak. The best the series ever was. It's the one in between. This Temple of Doom just it wasn't good. And it it almost was so bad that they had to switch gears for the third one to go, "Oh, that fell that was not, no, that one was, nope, we can't do that again. And they kind of went, not necessarily back to the drawing board, but well, they went back to what made the first one good and went there. And like Raiders was good, and Temple of Doom was Temple of Doom. Does everybody know the Kalima Online? Absolutely.
Kalima.
Like exactly. You can sit around and just you do the hand motions um of the heart rip, and you say the words, and everyone knows it. But that doesn't mean that the rest of it was any good, because it just it wasn't. It just good. However, that it does have the bits. Like I said, Raiders was good. Last Crusade was fantastic. Like you can sit and go back and forth about which one of those was the best one. You flip a coin, you wouldn't be wrong no matter which one you picked. But no one can look at the original three and say that Temple of Doom belonged and was any good.
Yeah.
Like again, I'm not saying, like, again, I know it's not good, but I like it anyway, Griffin. That's why it's a guilty pleasure. It's the least favorite, but you can't dislike it because the few brief moments that are good in it are only good because they got. You have the Colin rip. We are going to die. Like it's there. Is it? Does that make up for the other 90% of the movie? No, but I like it anyway because it's just silly and it's fun.
Oh,
Oh,
I feel bad
so you.
because like I've only seen the first Indiana Jones, and I feel like it's a sub level that's sacrilege for a guy who loves movies as much as I do.
I mean, hey, there are. I know, admittedly, much more about older movies. Like once I hit a certain point, me personally, like I just quit going to the movie theaters, and it's just movies were never really my thing. It would take something very particular to get me to go to the movies, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like eventually eventually one day the last person to ever seen an Indiana Jones film will perish, and then no one will have seen them, and they will fade into relative obscurity, except for the dark corners of the internet or whatever takes over after the inevitable evolution of the internet. So sitting there going, "Oh, well, you haven't seen this, you haven't seen that, you haven't seen that," kind of like you said, all the elitist people who are so far up their own asses, like, let me like what I like and let me live my own life. Leave me alone.
Yes, sir.
All right. So what was your third one?
So my third one was a movie that I saw in theaters a while ago that it just was very quickly dismissed and people kind of collectively forgot about it. And I can see why. The movie's dumb. However, it's a movie that features a battle of colossal armies, magic, a giant Chinese dragon fighting a demonic snake. It just, I mean, it has like that giant snake just slithering up a building and fighting tanks and helicopters. Sounds awesome, right?
I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, it's also boring as fuck when it's not doing that, which is about 90,
There it
which
is.
is about 90% of the time. Oh my god, whoever did the audio like tracking on this movie, I just everything sounds like this, like you can barely hear what and then you have to raise
Oh, they
the
filmed it underwater.
yeah, so then you have to raise the volume to hear what they're saying. And then when you raise the volume and everything sounds normal, it goes to an action scream, and the next thing you hear is just a loud bang, and just like my fucking ears. It's one of
Right.
those, but
And you have tinnitus.
yeah, it's worse than some other movies I've had. It's a boring, poorly acted movie. But man, the end scene, man, like the whole climax, yeah, you have a Chinese dragon fighting a giant snake and like, well, this is all it was for, and they told us this is what this was about since the beginning. Like the movie very rarely goes, "You're here to see a giant dragon fight a giant snake." Here, you know that's why you're here. Let's get through this boring shit. So I don't know. I guess I just have a high tolerance for that when it comes to monster movies and stuff. Dragon Wars. Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time. I got that shit on Steelbook. I only slightly regret getting it on Steelbook.
Only
But
slightly.
I, would you believe it was very easy to get on Steelbook? Oh,
For some reason, it was the cheapest steelbook you ever bought.
actually, you're not wrong. I think it actually was. Oh my god, it was
Um,
it's such a dumb movie, but I might just at least look up clips of it again or maybe watch it all entirety after this. Or I may watch more, just rewatch some more of the Storyteller because like all last night while I was working and all of this morning while I was working, and that's it. I've now seen all of the Storyteller and Greek Viz. Like I want to watch the episodes again, dude. They're good. Like it's not even a guilty pleasure. Like sure to go back in on that. But no, those are the main three movies that I see. Like, no, those are guilty pleasures. Those are movies that I will watch again readily. Like Rockadoodle, Dragon War, and fucking anything. Really, anything Puppet Master past the third one is like everyone knows. God, those movies are stupid, and I'm just here. Yeah, and
yes, but I giggle.
yes, but funny puppet stab Nazi. Hee hee.
it, it make you giggle. So my third one, my last one, and I was really struggling trying to come up with this one because a lot of movies that I like, I that fall onto the question of whether they are guilty pleasures or not. Again, kind of as mentioned before, have cult followings or they're spoof movies. They're intended to be over the top. They're intended to be ridiculous. They're meant to be parodies, and they fully embrace it, and they are what they are without any sort of regret. Um, but one of my movies, and I didn't realize this was a guilty pleasure movie for me until fairly recently because I was unknowingly in the minority that liked the movie. And ironically, it came up earlier in this podcast of of Constantine with Keanu Reeves.
Ah,
I loved that movie. Thought it was. I still love that movie. I think it's great. It's awesome. Gets me hyped. I can sit and watch it on repeat. It's fantastic. I love that movie. And then not too long ago, there was a whole bunch like I think it kind of came to a point for me when Keanu was doing that interview, and he was like, "Oh, are there any movies that you'd want to revisit? Any roles you'd want to revisit?" And he's like, "Yeah, Constantine, but like no one will make it." And I'm like, "Why wouldn't anyone make that? That movie was awesome." And then I go look, and I was like, "Oh, eh, was I wrong?" But then I was like, "No, the world is wrong. The movie is great. Everyone else is stupid."
well, that if it does make you feel better, like after that interview, like people are starting to look back at that movie, it's like, oh, maybe it wasn't that awful. So it is slowly going to cult status, slowly, but it's getting there. For now, I would still consider that a guilty pleasure.
Like I just remember watching it, be like, "Oh, cool," and then like talking to a couple other people that I knew that had seen it. They're like, yeah, they're like, it was okay. And then when he made that comment, I was like, what? And then I started doing the research on it, and I was like, wait a second, what? Did nobody like this movie? Did I miss something? I mean, granted, I can sit, okay, I can say like the dialogue kind of falls flat, and I think part of the reason it fell flat for some or for most is because of how Keanu Reeves acts as just his style of acting. I know it's not for everybody, but he does it on purpose, and he's not. He's been asked about it before, and he admits readily that he acts the way he does on purpose. And I know for some people they don't like that, but for me, I understand it, and I get it, and it makes perfectly good sense for a lot of the movies he's in. Does it work well in Constantine? Debatable, but he's still like he's every bit, well, mostly every bit of the asshole that Constantine is in the comics, and uh, he's got the deliveries, the snip, the snarky attitude, the I don't give a damn, I'm doing what I'm going to do, a whole bit. So I feel like he encapsulated the character of Constantine well. I mean, then you start going into some of like the nitty gritty details of movies that I don't give two shits about, but a lot of people do, which is like, well, who else was cast in the movie? And it's like, okay, Shia LaBeouf, eh, but like at the same time, it wasn't like you know what you're getting with Shia LaBeouf in a movie. It's not if it's not holes, it's going to be questionable how good of a job he's going to do. Like so again, it was kind of I didn't realize it was a guilty pleasure, but like you said, ever since he made that comment, it's kind of been brought back to the surface, and now there's rumors of a second one being in the works. They're trying to iron out a second one. So um, hopefully something good can come of that. But uh, that was my third one.
Hell yeah. Well, I'd like to know what everyone else's guilty pleasures are in the chat if you don't want to chime in real quick. But I'm glad we are able to share some of our guilty pleasures and give us some insight on everyone's favorite movies. I like cheesy schlocky shit. Surprise, but no.
I'll overlook a lot of casting decisions and everything because I'm watching a movie. Like, if the actor doesn't act, that's fine. My brain is capable enough to fill in the blanks and make it not matter.
Yeah, and I didn't mention them explicitly, but it is fair for me to say that to a certain degree, there are a lot of Godzilla movies that I can readily acknowledge are not the best that I have a soft spot for. It's just hard for me to say they're guilty pleasures because
It's Godzilla.
it's Godzilla, but also just from like the Godzilla fans skew everything, and all perception of what's good, what's not is so all over the place. It's hard for me to gauge. Okay, what's actually what
What the
could?
legitimate like threshold
Yeah,
is it actually bad or is it just a bunch of
yeah,
purist or elitists just being jerks about it?
yeah. And people who like just casually watch some of the Godzilla movies I have questions about are rare because it is my experience that if you're not a Godzilla fan, the only Godzilla movies you've seen are probably the MonsterVerse ones, maybe Godzilla '98, and weirdly enough, maybe Godzilla versus Mothra for some reason. But that's my experience on that. But it's yeah, so a big one for me is 2003
Jokes on you,
Daredevil.
I've only seen the ones you've made me watch.
You're gonna watch more, boy. Griffin gave a good one, the 2003 Daredevil movie, specifically the director's cut. Yeah, yeah,
I don't know if I've seen the director's cut, but you know what? I enjoyed the Daredevil movie too.
yeah. You share a guilty pleasure with Trey. It's so cute. No keys. No.
I would. There's a monitor and like I guess maybe I can do like um, emoticon here. Go showing my age here. Call it an emoticon and not an emoji.
The emoticon.
That's right.
Oh my god.
See if I remember
I
how to do this.
I
Oh
I
wait, it's backwards. It's this way.
I love all of the memes of people feeling old, like complaining they're feeling old because now it's like the generation right under us. And I'm like, God, we feel so old, and just like, oh, isn't that cute?
Correct. So many times I see stuff where it's like, oh, do y'all remember when this? And it's like, actually, I was having a conversation about it yesterday. My wife and I had to go change our phone company from AT&T to T-Mobile because AT&T hyped her bill up. And we're sitting there talking, and it's like me and her we're the same age. I just turned 35. She's gonna turn 35 in a few months. And there's another guy there getting his phone worked on who's in his late 50s. Three of the people that are working in the store, one is like in his 20s, another one's in his 40s, another one is in his 30s, and we're all just sitting around like, man, you remember when like home phones were a thing and no one had cell phones and 2 megapixel camera, like 2 megabyte or 2 megapixels on your camera was like the thing, and like flip phones used to be cool and then they weren't and then they were again.
Yeah,
You remember before the internet existed?
yeah. So I know landlines are still a thing, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I think landlines, if they're not completely phased out, to me only have a place in. And this might sound weird, but either gated, like close knit gated communities or nursing homes. where you're so close to your neighbors anyway that you don't mind just like having a direct line to them just to call like, oh, I'm gonna call Frank down the road or some shit like that. Like there's a place for them, but like then the vast majority of people are just get a cell phone. But
I think like businesses would still need landlines.
yeah, yeah,
Outside of
businesses do.
outside of that,
The MCU
eh,
there's some enjoyable elements to it and quite a few things that make me go but then the MCU showed did everything 100% better, and then all was forgiven. Yeah, yeah, it did. But I think that'll bring us to the very end here and into our closing thoughts. And before we get to the wheel, I want to say thank you for joining me this fine evening, Mr. Thunderheart.
absolutely, it was my pleasure. So glad you were able to reschedule me since I was unavailable last week. But just let me know if you want me to struggle bus through one of these again, and
Oh yeah, I
I'll
wanted
happily I'll happily ride shotgun.
yes, I wanted to get you this time because last time me and Shaq around were talking about Don Blue stuff, and he made the comments like, ah, yes, how him and Chekaron and Butch are tied for most appearances. Who will break the record? And I jokingly said that jokes on you. It's going to be Lee. I'm like, oh,
Ah, get wrecked.
and I was like, it'd be really funny if I committed to that bit. So get ready, you're about to marathon this shit now. But but I guess that will bring us to the wheel, the almighty wheel.
Wheel of morality, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn.
So yes, of course we have all the topics leading in for options for the next episode. What movies we could talk about. I'm slowly trying to narrow this down so there is like a few movies, maybe a few and a few special things. Um, and just
Quiet, Griffin. The adults are talking.
excuse me, I'm not sure. Oh, you said it, Griffin. Oh, okay. I thought it was Checker. Said you said it. I just know somebody said it. You know I'm bad. I'm bad with names, Mike. But but carry over from last time. We have Jurassic Park movies based on a true story, hand drawn Disney films,
Mm.
Ernest, if you know, you know, classic Universal monsters, Adam Sandler comedies, and knocking off the guilty pleasures, we have Bayformers, all the live action Michael Bay Transformers. Eh, I said it earlier to you like I'm gonna regret putting that on here. I'm gonna have to watch last night.
You
Damn it!
are.
Damn it! Well, let's see if and of course
Or, well, technically, you don't. This is your podcast. You can do whatever you want.
yes, but in the last, of course, is the guest decides. Where if it lands on that, Mister Thunderheart, any of those 7 topics, you get to choose which one we cover on the next episode.
Oh, I get to choose your fate. All right.
Yep. Well, we
Which
got.
one of these would you like the least?
I think I've
Mm,
made it clear, but we'll. But let's see.
I'm between two. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, let's go.
And it's off.
Oh, son of a fucking bitch.
Oh, hey, it picked it for me.
uh, I knew it. I knew I was gonna regret this. I have to watch them all. At least I like the first 2.
Save them for last so you can cleanse everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. I all right.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Who am I gonna convince to go down this rabbit hole with me? Who am I dragging to explosion hell? That's something I have to figure out. Uh, I
Well,
well, I blame Griffin.
I mean, you should just do that anyway.
See him laughing at me.
As a general rule of thumb.
I told you the more likely you talk about a topic, the more likely it is to be picked. Dude, yeah, karma. I will.
And you played yourself too. Like right before you spun, you were like, "I'm gonna regret putting this one on here." Like you manifested it. You put it on yourself.
Yeah, I did. I what I'm trying to manifest is I put Jurassic Park movies on there, and I want to manifest it closer to like June or July. So like maybe we get like the theme right when the new Jurassic World comes out. That'd be awesome. And but then if I get it like the weekend after Jurassic World, people are going to accuse me of rigging the competition, which like no, which is no, no, knowing my luck, that's what's going to happen. But I'll
Well, it's okay. Being here, having said it here, you gives you a spot where you can point back to later and say, "No, I didn't do this on purpose. I told y'all it was going to be a happy little accident if it did happen."
yeah. Oh, actually, no. There's three Transformers movies I know I like. The first two and Rise of the Beasts was okay. Rise of the Beast was pretty decent. Third one put me to sleep, and Extinction. Honestly, like I blanked in fucking Extinction, but I'm not excited to watch last night.
Decidedly average.
Yeah, it's like, but it's got a big metal T Rex. Yeah, I know. Why is this boring?
How did you make it boring?
Well, we'll talk about that later. Bring up the nerve to watch all these. I have two of these on Blu-ray at least, so I can ease my way through two of them this week. Uh, but again, that's for 2 weeks from now. Once again, thank you for joining me, Thunderheart, on this
Absolutely,
glorious
Kaiju. My
excursion.
pleasure.
And for everyone else, we'll see you next time.